Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and selamat sejahtera. So today I would like to discuss question number 17 and 18. So I'm going to skip question 16 because that one we already covered in our tutorial discussion previously. So for question 17, again I already highlight it for you. A golf ball leave the ground with a speed 30 meters. Okay, you can read the question first. Now the first question, it says that find the horizontal and vertical component of initial velocity. That means the question want you to find ux and uy. Okay, and then velocity at the height of 5 meter. Okay, we're going to discuss it later on, so I'm going to discuss this one later lah. Let's start with question A first. Okay, the situation is that a golf ball leaves the ground with a speed of 30 meter per second. So the diagram should look something like this. Now remember that this angle is 30 degrees above the horizontal. It means above here lah. If it's below horizontal, it means it's down here. Okay, so question A, I think I have to write down the formula first, because this one, okay, maybe I can go back. Oh, I don't think it's here. Wait, I'm gonna copy it from somewhere here. Not sure if I can copy this, but I try. Okay, so this is the property of projectile motion, which we can use in all the projectile motion questions. Okay, so we have x component and y component. First thing first, this one is the straightforward question A. You are given u, which is equals to 30 meter per second. So if you want to find horizontal and vertical, basically you just want to find ux and uy. So ux equals to u cos theta and uy is equals to u sin theta. Okay, so like I told you before, this is your u. Okay, so if you want to go from u to ux, you have to go through the angle, which means this one is a cos. So if you went from u to uy, it doesn't have any angle here. Angle is on the other side, so you have to use sine. So just a recap lah. So this one would be 30 cos 30 degrees. This one would be 30 sine 30 degrees. Okay, remember, since the 30 is in degrees, so make sure you use cos your calculator to be in degree as well. So here I got 25.98. Okay, oopsie. This one will be 30 sine 30, which is 15. Okay, I'm gonna make this one a little bit smaller because it seems like it's took up too much space. Okay, just double check the answer. Yes, it's incorrect. The next question, they want to find the velocity at the height of 5 meter above the ground before it reach the maximum height. So if the question want you to find a specific height, example over here, we assume that that one still haven't reached the maximum because it says here before it reached the maximum. So let's say we assume it is somewhere over here. Okay, let's say this is when the height is 5 is it? Yes, 5 meter, let's say. Okay, and you will notice that there's a two position when it is 5 meter. Before it reach the height, before it reach the maximum height, and after it reach the maximum height. So you will expect, if you calculate the time, you will get 2 time. Okay, so the 2 time represent before and after lah. So the smaller time means over here, the bigger time is over there. So be careful with that. But the question didn't ask about time, but they did ask you to find the velocity. So velocity, if you calculate Vx, it will be the same with the Ux, right? Because it doesn't change in magnitude. but for the uy, for the vy, over here is going up, over here is going down. So that's the difference between before and after the maximum height. So maybe I can draw it over here just so that you guys can see clearly. So this is your vy before it reached the maximum height. This is your vy after it reached maximum height. Let's say you calculate and you get positive and negative. So you know that positive means before and negative means afterwards. So in this case, I want to find the beforehand. Okay, question B. Okay, so ux you can do straight away. Ux is equals to vx. So vx is equals to 25.98. So basically you already have this value. Okay, the question want you to find v here. So obviously you have to find vx, and then you find the vy, then take the square, and then you find the magnitude, you can calculate the v, right? Simple as that. So but for your vy, if you want to calculate vy, you can use these three equation over here. They did give you the s, so I have tendency to use this one because this one doesn't have any time. So I think, yeah, you can use this one straight away because this is the only formula that doesn't include any time, which is the information that's missing over here. But you still can find the vy equals to uy square. Just write down the equation first. Okay, uy square would be a positive number because that one is pointing upwards. You take the square anyway, so it doesn't really matter here. So 9.81, and then your sy, okay, because this is above the ground, so over here, right, it's positive. So starting position is over here. This is when the height is equals to 0. Anything above that one is positive, so it's positive 5. Okay, this would be your vy square. Don't forget to put the square. I always forget about the square. So press your calculator, will be 15 square. Let's see, minus 2 multiplied with 9.81 multiplied with 5. I got here is 126.9. And then you don't forget to take the square root. I take the square roots away. I got here is plus minus 11.265. Okay, this will be meter per second. Okay, since we are only talking about beforehand, so we want to find before it reached the maximum. So it's corresponding to a positive value here lah. So it could be positive or negative based on this calculation, which is true lah, because this one is the negative one, this one is positive one. But we're gonna take the positive one, so might as well I'm gonna delete this one. Okay, so it looks something like this. Okay, but you haven't finished yet. I'm gonna make this one a little bit smaller because we're running out of space. Okay, now you do have your Vx and Vy. To find the magnitude V is simple lah. The square root of Vx square and Vy square. We can write down the formula first. Okay, I have to make a new page as well. So V is equals to square root of 25.98 square plus 11.265 square. Then take the square root of those things. What is here is 28.32. Okay, but if you answer it like this, it's not enough because this is a vector. So like I always told you, whenever you are dealing with a vector, you need to find the direction. Resize, make it smaller. Maybe I can do it over here, okay, so that you can see clearly. Okay, and then this is the magnitude, the direction, how I always told you, the tangent, theta. I think I need more space. So going back here, so I make it smaller, put it down here, and then I'm going to divide this page into two. Okay, so direction, you can always redraw the vector. So this is the vector, the two vector that we calculate the magnitude is 11.265 and 25.98. So that means the vector here is actually pointing upwards and to the right. Okay, so this is your V. Same with this diagram over here lah, just redraw. This one is your theta, this is your Vx, this is your Vy. Okay. So if you want to find the theta, you can use tangent. Theta is equals to always y over x if you use angle that is towards the x component. Okay. So your Vy is 25. Okay, if let's say when you try to use this method, you have a Vy in negative, you can ignore the negative because you already draw the diagrams, okay, for direction calculation, for theta calculation. Okay, 25.98. I think I got this one wrong over here. It should be the y component, which is 11.265. So your theta is basically arctangent of that number. Oopsie. Got here is 23.44. Okay, and then you can write down the direction. So this one is above, positive, x-axis. Okay, again, mengelak sikit. I'm gonna make this one just a little bit smaller so that it looks nicer. Okay, let me check the answer first. Yeah, it seems correct. I think it's about right. Okay, but you only do B. Okay, there's still a long way to go. Okay, the maximum height at that point. Oh, maximum height at that point. I don't think that point is needed over here. So I just cancel out this one. So the question want to find the maximum height the ball can travel lah. Okay, so see what happened. Sorry, they want to find your SY or S max when your Vy is equals to 0. It's as simple as that. Okay, so you have these three equations. Okay, if you want to find the SY, but you need to assume that Vy is equals to 0, maybe you can use this one as well. I think you can use this one. So it would be, just write down the formula. Vy square equals to Uy square minus 2GSY. You want to find the maximum height, which is SY. So your Vy square will be equals to 0 because that is the maximum point. Sorry, at maximum height, your Vy equals to 0. Over here, Uy is equals to 0. Okay. Uy is still the same, 15 meter per second. Okay, so will be, you get 15 square, you bring to the other side, you get negative, you cancel out the negative, and divide by 2 and divide by 9.81. So over here I got 11.47. Yeah, so correct as well. Okay, the next question, question D, the time of flight. So basically the time of flight, the total time it is on the air. So you can imagine that it start from here and then it's end over here. So the total time is basically the time it took for the ball to travel from here to here lah. So the key thing here over here, you do know that Sy is equals to 0 and Vy is equals to negative Uy, right? So you get two important information there. I can copy this one so that I can bring it to the other side, which I'm going to do now. Copy this one and I put it over here so that easier for you guys to see. Okay, so the time of flight, question D. So you do know over here there's few criteria. Number one, this is basically negative Uy. Okay, like I told you before lah. If it start from the same, if velocity at the same height, it will have the same magnitude except one is pointing upward, another one is pointing downwards. Okay, that's one important thing. Another one is your Sy, which is equals to 0 because it is basically in the same height. So which formula that you want to use, you can refer back to this equation over here. You don't have the time yet because you want to find the time, so you need to use equation that has the time. So you can cancel out this one, I think. And then you can either use this one or this one, but I tend to use this one. I think both also can. Anyway, maybe I will try to use this one first and see how it goes. Okay, because that one got square, so I don't want to use square. So Vy equals to Uy minus GT. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so you do know that Uy is equals to 15. I double check. Here, Uy is equals to 15. So it is pointing upwards, right? But Vy is pointing downwards. Okay, but be careful, this one is only valid because this one is at the same height. I think different question. If it goes a little bit further downwards, you cannot use this method lah. You have to use Sy. There's no other ways. Minus 9.81 T. Okay, so it will be negative 30 there divided by negative 9.81. Should get 3.06, which is correct. Okay, so obviously you can try to use the third equation as well. Maybe that one is for you guys to try lah. And then on to the last one. Okay, the question looks simple, but the solution took quite a bit of time. That's okay. Okay, find the range of the projectile. So the question now want you to find the Sx. Okay, so this one is simple actually. Okay, you do know if you want to find Sx, you need to use this formula straight away. But since you already have the time, you can use it straight away lah. Tak ada masalah pun. So Sx equals to Uxt, where Ux is equals to, I have to check, 25.98 multiply with the time, which is 3.06. This is the time of flight. So that's why I think even if the question didn't ask you to calculate Ux and Uy, the first thing that you guys need to do for projectile motion is you calculate that one first. Okay, if you calculate this one, you will get 79.50. SI unit will be in meter. Okay, that one is for question 17. Okay, let's try to look at question 18. In a movie scene, a car was driven at a speed of 30 meters per second up a ramp incline at 45. The car ran off the top of the ramp, which is 2 meters above the ground, assuming that the air resistance is negligible. Calculate the time of the car in the air. Okay, the horizontal distance traveled by the car from the ramp to the point of impact on the ground. So that one would be your SX. Horizontal distance travel, which is SX or range lah. So the time of the car in the air, so T. Interesting question. Okay, now you do know that the height of the ramp is 2 meters above the ground. So this one, maybe I can put this one as 2 meters. Okay, but if you want to represent this one with the SY, it will be negative 2 meters. Why? Because it is actually below the starting position. So starting position is over here, right? So this is when your height is equals to 0 or SY equals to 0. Like I told you before, anything above is positive, anything below is negative. You really need to bear this in mind. Okay, so ramai student dia memang terlupa. Dia nampak 2 tu, dia nak masuk je lah 2 tu. Kalau kamu masuk 2, that means you actually calculate what happened when the height is 2 meters above the ground. So we want to find the time of flight over here. So we want to substitute SY down there. Okay, I'm going to copy the equation first. So okay, copy this one, copy. I'm going to paste it over here. So in exam, you can list down this equation first. Okay, like I told you before, this equation they didn't give you in this form. They give you the 3 equation. They don't have this subscript, and this one you don't have lah. So you can write this one first. Okay. Oopsie. Okay, A. Interesting. You can use SY straight away, okay, because you have the SY. You don't have the VY, so I don't recommend you to use this one lah, or else you have to find VY first. So you can use this one straight away, okay. But remember, if you want to use this one, you need to find the UY. So like I told you before, even if the question didn't ask you specifically to find the UY and UX, it will be the best if you can do that one first. Okay, because that one is part of the information given. So UX and UY. Okay, so your UX will be equals to U cos 45. So I'm gonna straight away use this one. So I told you beforehand, question before, why it cos and why it becomes sine. So double check with the equation. Okay. So it's 45, so it doesn't matter sine or cos anyway. But okay, I'm gonna write the correct things. So here's 21.21. Okay, and just to double check, I'm gonna press, which I'll get the same. Okay, now the times in the car in the air, I can use the third formula there. Sy equals to U yt minus half gt squared. So whenever you try to substitute, always ask yourself whether it's positive or negative value. In this case, Sy will be negative 2. Uy will be positive because Uy is pointing upwards there. That's why it's important for you to draw. If you didn't draw this diagram, there's no way you can solve it. Okay, so please draw 21.21 t minus half 9.81, and then you can calculate the t square. Okay, simplify the equation first, and then maybe I can bring everything to the right. Okay, so I'm going to erase this one. So 9.81 multiplied by half, oops, salah tekan. Apa ini? 9.81 multiplied by half, I got 4.905. And I bring it to the left hand side, so it becomes positive, minus 21.21t minus 2 equals to 0. So I have my equation in this form. Okay, I think I have to make this one smaller as well. Okay, you can use the calculation function. This calculator is quite new to me, so I might need some time to find the equation. Okay, so I use this one, right? I have to press menu setup, and I have to find the equation, which is basically the A there. So you can skip by alpha A. Okay, so you end up like this. Yeah. I don't think you can see anyway, because after this I'm gonna remove the background. And then simultaneous equation or polynomial. I choose polynomial. Degree is 2. Okay, because you have x squared over there. So substitute 4.905, enter. Negative 21.21, enter. Negative 2, enter. Okay, I got here 4.41, sorry, 4.42. So I will get two values of t, which is 4.42 second. So I'm going to write R instead of N. Okay, you do know that there's no negative in time, so straight away you know the answer will be 4.42. So I can cancel out this one. Okay, so the answer will be t equals to 4.42. Okay, so it depends on the calculator that you are using. Basically, you just have to find the function to use the equation, and then you choose to the second degree of the equation. Okay, B, the horizontal distance traveled by the car from the ramp to the point of impact on the ground. Okay, you do have the UX, you do have the SX, so this one is straightforward, thankfully. So B, you can use SX equals to UXT. UX is equals to 21.21. You do have the times of flight. Like I always told you the relation between X and Y component is time here. So the time it took for this to happen will be the same time it took for that one to happen. Okay, so 21.21 times 4.42. I got his, oops, I forgot to change to normal. Okay, to change to normal function, you can press the menu again. So I got here is 93.75 meter. Okay, which is in agreement with the answer. The positive means it is to the right, which is makes sense now, because we assume that it traveled to the right. So I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna put it over here. Okay, so that's it for this video. We continue the next one for the next question. Thank you.